Lily Chen is a threat.
Hola amigos de CNET en español, estamos aquí con Alex Garland, el director y guionista de Ex Machina, de Annihilation. Alex ha hecho una serie nueva que se llama Devs, que podréis ver en FX on Hulu, y vamos a ver qué nos explica de ella.
Well, on some level, it's just a genre story. It's a kind of it's a thriller set in the world of tech and San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and so it has thriller beats and it functions like a sort of 1970s paranoid conspiracy type story. But also, Devs is kind of like an idea-driven story. Ideas from very sort of interesting writers and thinkers and scientists and people who work in tech. If a viewer is interested in idea-driven stuff, then hopefully Devs will give them ideas to think about. And yeah, this is a different kind of thing. Certainly not the only person doing it, but it fits into a different category. I think it would be hard to make sense of Devs unless you followed it quite closely. That's not just to do with the plot. In fact, it's probably least of all to do with the plot. It's more to do with some of the concepts that it's offering up.
Don't worry, you're gonna figure it out.
Because we live in a quantum mechanical world. That's where we are. And we're not detached from the underlying reality of our existence. We are part of it. And so if you're going to talk about things that are fundamental, then it makes sense to talk about them in a quantum mechanical way. Partly because there are kind of strides being made in the area, and I'm particularly talking about quantum computers that rely on quantum mechanics in order to work. I mean, everything does, but in a very sort of explicit way. And this new arrival, this new area of technology sort of opened up a story possibility and a sort of philosophical possibility. By spending some time here and by sort of trying to steep myself in it and think about it and stuff like that. But the truth is that I do quite a lot of traveling, and I can be in some very sort of remote areas of the world, particularly these days, and see people using smartphones in very remote rural areas in different continents. And so the reach these days of Silicon Valley is very, very far. I definitely have a particular viewer in mind, and it's viewers who are thoughtful and want to become engaged in the story. If the viewer does not engage their own imagination and their own thought processes and step forwards into the story, then the story won't really function. And so I think that's true of this TV show. I think that if you watch it in a passive way, it will feel sort of empty and probably kind of pretentious and sort of unnecessarily weird. I really liked working in television. I liked the kind of creative freedom it gave, which is really quite extreme. Amazing resources, amazing time, amazing people actually. I've never been creatively supported in the way I was creatively supported in this show, and I'm not talking about the crew, I'm talking about the people that actually paid for it and are sort of presenting it to viewers. So I loved it, and I'm going to try to do it again. Overwhelmed to the point where you don't bother trying to get a sense of everything that's out there, like that would be a full-time job. I think probably it's a little bit closer these days to walking into a bookstore where there are thousands of different titles on the shelves, and most of them only give themselves to you by the sort of profile of their spine and some letters on the spine,
and you really don't know. Yes.
Yeah, and so you browse, you search. A friend of yours says you really need to check this out, and you sort of filter your way through everything. Well, I don't think any of us are able to be private anymore.
No.
That's not a choice we get to make. I would imagine Facebook knows less about me than Google, partly because I'm not on Facebook. But then, as I was saying that, I was thinking that's probably really naive.
Muchas gracias, Alex, y si queréis leer nuestra crítica de Devs podéis ir a cnet.com/es. Gracias.